What is up, MotoBros and girls? Welcome back to another video. Today I got something different, something a little spicy, if you will. It's called Motochat. It's pretty much just how it sounds. We're just gonna chat about some stuff, you know, get to know each other. Probably have some topics, you know, hopefully some interesting ones, where we can, you know, discuss and go back and forth, and you guys can let me know what you think in the comment section below. But yeah, the first topic, something I believe we could all relate to, is how the pandemic did us dirty. I know it did me dirty. There was one upside to it, but there was you know, many downsides to it, and I'd like to know how it affected you guys and your thoughts on the whole thing, because I know a lot of us are actually still dealing with it, you know, and we probably will be dealing with it for a long time, unfortunately. Hopefully someday we can get back to, you know, a normal lifestyle, but till then I guess we just got to do what we can do. But yeah, so I guess I'll start out with the positive for me. My youngest daughter, Mia, she was born December 6th, 2019. So the pandemic was, I think, a thing, right? But it wasn't here, and it wasn't really anything that I don't think too many people were concerned about. So it didn't really affect me until March, like the middle of March. I ended up getting laid off my job, as so did most people. It was a very scary time. Had no idea what to expect, how I was gonna make money or anything like that. So obviously pretty scary, especially when you got kids and a family. So the positive part about it was Mia was only about 3 months old, so I gotta watch her grow. I gotta watch her, you know, talk for the first time, crawl, walk, all that good stuff, and it was amazing. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I mean, just watching her develop and grow and change was amazing. And before the pandemic, I was working quite a lot. I'd work 12 plus hours a day, you know, 5 to 6 days a week. I worked really far from where I live, so I had about 2 hours of commute round trip. So yeah, I wasn't around very often, and you know, it wasn't fun, but you got to do what you got to do. So anyways, that was the positive for me, is being able to spend time with my family, being able to watch my youngest grow up and all of that. But then there were a lot of downsides to it as well, obviously. You know, just the sheer fear of getting COVID, not necessarily for myself, but for my kids. That was what I was most worried about. I definitely didn't want my kids getting it. And you know, I finally had time. I mean, I've always worked, always. So I didn't really know what to do with myself, for one. And then the way I've always looked at things is, well, for me anyways, sure a lot of people can relate, but it's either you have the time but you don't have the money, or you have the money but you don't have the time. And that's kind of always been a thing for me. And this one was interesting because I had the time. Eventually we were doing okay money-wise, surprisingly, but you couldn't do anything. And I think that pissed me off more than anything, because I had this opportunity, you know, to be able to do stuff with my kids and my family, and you know, experience all these things that I couldn't do before because I just was always working. And at this point I couldn't do anything because everything was closed, or you know, just too scared to go do anything because we didn't want our kids getting COVID, and a lot of people weren't taking it serious, and nobody gave a shit, especially younger people, because you know, it was whatever. It's like, oh, we got the flu, we're sick for a little bit, whatever, let's go party. And don't get me wrong, you know, I had my heydays like that where I probably would have had that same mentality, but when you have kids to worry about, it changes everything. You know, you can't think for yourself anymore. You got to think about them and how to keep them safe and all of that. Just gonna squeeze on by. So yeah, that was kind of the hard thing, is having the time and having some money, but just not being able to do anything because of COVID. Alright, well, real quick, I'm gonna get down some highway miles because it's windy as shit and you guys probably wouldn't hear me anyways, and I'll be right back with ya. Alright, and we're back. That was brutal, man. Gotta say, I love this bike, but the wind's something else. But I mean, obviously you know that going into buying a Hyper Naked, so you know I can't really say too much about that. But I do have a windscreen on order, so we'll see how much of a difference that makes. From what I've heard, it makes a lot of difference, so that'll be nice. I mean, I can deal with the wind, but obviously audio is not so good. But anyways, back to the topic. So yeah, pandemic did us dirty. It affected us all, maybe some different ways, but I'm sure a majority of them are similar. Another thing, I obviously wasn't very active because you know, said pandemic, but yeah, so I wasn't very active, and I was eating a lot, you know, stress eating. That's the excuse I'm going with. And you know, I put on a lot of unhealthy weight, as I'm sure, you know, a lot of people did. But you know, it just kind of took a toll on my body too, you know, being unhealthy, eating unhealthy, you know, not really getting much exercise because you're kind of stuck at home doing nothing. So yeah, it was a really unhealthy lifestyle, you know, and yeah, I probably should have, you know, maybe walked around or something like that, but you know, I didn't. I was kind of enjoying not having to be responsible or be accountable for anything, and just kind of sit around and be a fat lazy lop. So yeah, you know, the weight was one thing, but the big thing was just not really using my muscles and stuff, and that ended up kind of hurting me in the long run, because when I did go back to work, you know, all my muscles were fat, lazy, and you know, retarded. So I kind of messed up my knee, and you know, had to be out of work for a day. You know, it took a bit of adjustment for my body and my muscles to get acclimated with the whole work lifestyle again. So yeah, it was tough, to say the least. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. But yeah, anyways, I just kind of wanted to talk about that, you know, because I know other people have experienced a lot of the same stuff, and I don't think there's very many people talking about it, and I figured it'd be a good segue into this series. So leave your comments down below, you know, if you guys went through some similar things as I did, or you know, what you went through that was different from what I did. Let's just, you know, talk, communicate, get to know each other, you know, chat it up. That's what this whole series is about. But I'm gonna take my fat loppy ass to work, and I'll see you lovely moto boys and girls in the next one. Peace.